U.S. authorities and global leaders are closely watching a major diplomatic development in the war between Ukraine and Russia. As Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has confirmed that Kyiv is willing to accept demilitarized zones, or DMZs, as part of a proposed peace plan aimed at ending the conflict. Speaking to journalists, President Zelenskyy said Ukraine is prepared to turn parts of the Donbas region currently under Ukrainian control into a demilitarized zone, provided Russia also commits to keeping its forces out of the area. The proposal marks Ukraine's most significant territorial concession since the war began. The announcement comes amid growing pressure on Kyiv, both from continued Russian military advances and from the United States, where President Donald Trump has urged Ukraine to move toward a ceasefire agreement with Moscow. Zelenskyy also revealed that the peace proposal includes a second demilitarized zone near the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant, Europe's largest nuclear facility, which is currently under Russian control. According to the Ukrainian president, the DMZ proposals are part of a broader 20-point peace plan that he says has backing from the United States. So what exactly does this plan involve? And can demilitarized zones actually work in Ukraine? The 20-point peace plan was unveiled by Zelenskyy during a lengthy briefing with journalists, where he read directly from the document. According to the Ukrainian leader, the plan was developed by negotiators from Kyiv and Washington. During talks held in Florida, one of the most sensitive issues remains Ukraine's future relationship with NATO. Russia has consistently demanded that Ukraine never be allowed to join the military alliance. The Trump administration has also indicated that NATO membership for Ukraine is off the table as part of any peace deal. However, Zelenskyy made clear that Ukraine is unwilling to amend its constitution to permanently rule out NATO membership. He stated that decisions about NATO expansion belong to NATO members, not Russia, and emphasized that Ukraine has already rejected its constitutional changes that would enforce neutrality. Another major point of contention is territorial control. Zelenskyy said that any proposal requiring Ukrainian troops to withdraw from territory would have to be approved by a national referendum. Ukraine's constitution prevents the government from changing national borders without public consent. Analysts believe that Ukraine may ultimately pursue a middle ground approach, refusing to formally recognize Russian-occupied territories while acknowledging that it does not currently control them. The issue of elections also remains unresolved. Zelenskyy said Ukraine would only hold a presidential election after a peace agreement is signed. President Trump has pushed for elections in Ukraine, while Russia has questioned Zelenskyy's legitimacy due to the lack of voting during wartime. At the heart of the current proposal are demilitarized zones. Zelenskyy explained that any areas Ukraine withdraws from would become DMZs, which he also described as potential free economic or trade zones. He said us negotiators were seeking a framework that could satisfy both sides. The proposed DMZs focus primarily on two regions. The first is the Donbas, made up of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. Historically, Ukraine's industrial heartland. Russian forces currently control nearly all of Luhansk and about 70% of Donetsk. Under the proposal, Ukrainian troops would pull back from areas they still control in the Donbas, but only if Russia agrees not to occupy those territories. Instead, areas would be designated as demilitarized zones. The second proposed DMZ would surround the Zaporizhzhia, a nuclear power plant. Russia currently controls the facility, while Ukraine has repeatedly called for its return. The proposal suggests turning the surrounding area into a demilitarized zone to reduce the risk of military escalation around the plant. However, major questions remain unanswered. It is unclear who would govern these demilitarized zones, who would enforce compliance, and how critical infrastructure, such as the nuclear plant, would be managed or shared, security analysts say. These uncertainties could present serious challenges. Marina Moran, an analyst at King's College London, told Al Jazeera that while the proposal may be designed to satisfy both sides diplomatically, it is difficult to see how it would function in practice. She noted that Russia may be unwilling to withdraw forces from areas where it currently holds a military advantage. According to Moran, Ukraine's inclusion of DMZs in the plan may be a diplomatic move designed to demonstrate Kyiv's willingness for peace and shift pressure onto Moscow so far. Russia has not formally accepted or rejected the plan. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Russia is still formulating its position and declined to comment on specific details. Demilitarized zones have been used in conflicts around the world, with mixed results. While they can reduce violence when properly monitored and enforced, they often fail without strong international oversight, clear rules, and mutual trust conditions that are currently lacking in the Ukraine conflict. For now, the proposal highlights a potential turning point in the war, signaling that Ukraine is open to compromise while still seeking security guarantees and international support. Whether demilitarized zones can bring lasting peace will depend on enforcement, compliance, and the willingness of both sides to uphold any agreement reached.